Let's discuss my character design process from start to finish. Hey, Walter here, doing what I can to make comics easier because it shouldn't be overwhelming or daunting to tell your story. I make videos about comics and art, so if that's something you're into, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, character design, I approach it the same way I approach pretty much anything to do with comics and art, and that's with a carefree, laissez-faire. But it is kind of hard to teach people how to be deliberately indeliberate, so I'm just going to say for the start of our lives all the way to now, for our entire lives, we've been bombarded with character traits being outwardly expressed, like the insecure tough guy who needs a big truck to show how tough he is, or the adrenaline junkie that needs a really fast motorcycle and he doesn't wear a helmet because that's the only way he can feel anything, or the owner of a billion-dollar business and they have the high-end tailored suit to match. A lot of overthinking or knowledge can sometimes silence that intuition. So I would say just trust your gut and go to the book smarts when you run into a problem you can't quite solve. Now, my process usually starts off with really loose sketching, and this would be whether I have a story or don't have a story yet, because sometimes a random character doodle can spark and launch its own entire world. So if I'm just sketching like usual, I try not to think too much. If there isn't a story yet, then I just go wild, play with different shapes, proportions, big torsos, little leg, giant head, small body, big forearms, little forearms, tiny fingers, big wrist, tiny wrist, and just see if any spark forms from these designs. Now, if we already have a story, or at least a morsel of a story, we can do our designs a little bit more deliberately. Now, this might be easier if we just do an example. So let's say we have a world where it's kind of near future, dystopian, there's military everywhere, and our story is going to be about a group of mercenaries who are sent in to take out this dictator. And we're going to design one of the characters in that story. Let's say her name is Tweak. She's in her late 20s. She's a hacker. She's a mercenary. And we're going to use that as the basis for our design. So to start off, we're just going to go over to Google or Pinterest and search for some keywords like soldier, mercenary, military. And then we can start throwing on some qualifiers like sci-fi soldier or futuristic female mercenary. Another helpful way to do it is by tossing in the word concept art. So you can do concept art soldier or concept art future soldier. It lets you see how other artists were able to translate those visual indicators that we're seeing, but in a more artistic, illustrative way. Now that your brain is revving, just start sketching, play around with head shapes and hair, body shapes, or just vague suggestions of an outfit and tech. Don't get too attached to any one of these, and don't worry about anatomy, like at all. Anatomy does not exist in our world right now. We don't care about it. We just care about design. Try different hairstyles, different races. If you have an image of a character being thin, try one with muscle, another one overweight. Don't be too constrained to a certain visual image at this point. Once you've got some ideas cooking around in your head, it's time to do a character sheet. This will help you solidify your ideas. So open up a new canvas. I usually do 17 by 11 because that's just what I'm used to. And I sketch in a basic standing human form, straight on, no fancy perspective, no foreshortening, nothing. Then you can do one for the profile. For the arm, you can just draw this circle with a cross through it so the arm doesn't block the view of the outfit. You can always draw an arm just floating in mid-air if you need to add details or design for that arm. And then we're going to do a 3/4 view. Once you do this for the first time, you want to save this as a template for yourself so you don't have to do this every single time. And you can also have a different template for different things, like a muscular character or a thin or a small or a heavy. You can do ones for male and female if you want to. Now for the straight on forward mannequin, that's where we're going to start. Just start drawing your character in here. I usually keep it pretty loose. I don't focus a lot on head details. I don't worry too much about the hair. Now, if this design is for a client or an employer, you might have to be a little bit more clean, add a little bit more detail. Once you're done, head back over to Google or Pinterest and start looking at all those references again. Is there something that you're seeing in that ref that you really like but you didn't actually add to your design because you forgot about it? Now you take those, go back to your character and update your character with those elements. Once you have that front view set, then you can go back and do the profile view and the 3/4 view. And if you want, you can throw down some simple colors once you have all of that in place. Now that we have our design, we actually want to see if it works. So at this point, I would take my design and start drawing it in a bunch of different poses, action poses, dynamic angles. Does the costume still look cool? Is it fun to draw? Is there anything that feels off or that is annoying to draw? Make a list, go back and change your character sheet. You can add notes like only draw the character from this angle. If you draw the character from the front view, you need to do this with the hair, otherwise it's gonna look weird, etc. Now that we have our character outfit design, we're gonna wanna do something for the head as well. So we're gonna do a head sheet or head turnaround, and we start the same way. We start with that forward-facing view, draw the character, get the eyes, the hair, the nose looking the way you want it, and then we're going to draw these guidelines running across from the hairline, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the chin, so that we're able to translate our character into the profile and 3/4 view. Now I did this in more detail in another video about drawing consistent characters, so make sure you check out that video if you need more information. Now as you start creating more characters for your world, you're going to want to stick all of your characters into a single sheet, just the straight on view of the characters. That way you can see if the characters are working together. Do all the characters work together? Are the sizing and proportions working across all the characters? Do they look like they live in the same world? This guy probably needs a shirt on because it looks weird because everyone else has a shirt on, and you probably want to wear a shirt when you're going into enemy territory. Also, while you're looking at all of them on the same sheet, you want to make sure that they all look distinct from one another. Different sizes, hairstyles, attitudes. You don't want to just have a bunch of clones because that is going to get boring and also confusing for your reader. There's a bunch of comics I've read where I'm not sure if that character is one character or another character. Usually I start by designing the main character, the most important character, the one I'm most excited about. Once I have that character design, I will copy that front view and paste it into a new sheet for the next character. So while I'm designing that second character, I can use the first character as a guide to keep things all in line. Otherwise, it's pretty much rinse and repeat for every single character you have in your story. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't at least briefly gloss over some of the more traditional teachings of character design. So there are 3 elements to this: shape, color, and silhouette. So for shapes, we have round, boxy, and pointy. Round shapes are for cutesy, cuddly characters. Boxy shapes are for strongy, wongy characters. Pointy shapes are for mean, weenie characters. And colors, we have blues and reds. Blues are for calm, peaceful, serene characters, royalty. Red is for dangerous and fast and energy action characters. And then of course you have fuchsia and teal, which is for just badass characters. At least I think so. Those are my favorite colors. Now I think color and shape are fairly intuitive, even if we're not thinking about it. Like, we're not gonna design an evil monster and color him baby blue and give him round cotton ball claws, because that's just not what an evil monster looks like. We know what that looks like. We know what claws are. They're sharp and pointy, and evil things are like darker reds and shadowy. They're not baby blue and they don't have round claws. But another teaching is silhouette. Now a silhouette is just a solid black shadow version of your character. And I think silhouette is really important because it means your character is easily recognizable with no detail. Now this goes back to what I was saying earlier about making all of your characters look distinct even if they're standing next to each other. Silhouette makes it really easy to see if designs are too similar because you're not getting distracted by all the details. But don't feel the need to make them insanely different unless you're doing something really cartoony, and then it makes more sense that all the shapes and the characters are very distinct and different from each other. Side note, silhouette is also great when you're drawing dynamic poses and doing compositions to make sure that all the different elements are reading easily for the viewer. And that's my process for designing characters. The big takeaway should be trust your gut. You know what your characters look like, at least in your head. if not in your heart. And the other thing is to focus on character design and not on making good drawings. If you're trying to design your character while also drawing a great illustration with dynamic poses and forced perspective, you're going to be juggling too many things and it's going to make it a lot harder on you. Now, the best way to get better at character design is to design a lot of characters, because the more characters you design, the more problems you're going to run into, the more problems you have to solve. Therefore, you're going to learn a lot faster. Now, there's a lot more that goes into character design, a lot of creative stuff. This video was more about my specific process, technical process for designing characters. So if there's an aspect of designing characters that you're having a problem with, let me know in the comments and I will make a video that focuses more on that singular aspect of character design. Now, if you want to help me out and help this channel and help me make more videos, please share this video with your friends and your family. Force them to subscribe and hit the like button. You should also hit that like button. Show this video to your cat. Cats like me. They might want to subscribe themselves. And if you want to keep making comics easier, be sure to like, link, love, hug, and hit that sub button for more sweet, sweet goodness. Peace.